Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I would like to begin today's show with a few editorial comments. Long ago, I coined a phrase which I recalled last night that I want to share with you. I remember coming up with this phrase back when I was doing radio on 700 WLW. And that phrase is this: they want us to be sheep for shepherds who are fools. And last night I thought to myself, that has never been more relevant today relative to the vaccination issues and all the other issues. They really do want us to be sheep for shepherds, them, our so-called leaders, who are fools. And we should not be. Then last night, I was watching a television series, and as I worked, and as all television these days, most of it is woke. And in the show, there was a woman who was speaking to this group of other women, and she said that the time of competition, since the beginning of man, there was competition, that the time of competition is over, and we're now living in the age of cooperation. And I thought to myself, wow. Remember how they say art imitates life? Think about that. We're no longer supposed to compete, have individuality and freedom. No, it's all about cooperation. But the big catch is, who do they want us to cooperate with? They want us to cooperate with the American Communist 10. They want us to cooperate with our communist leaders. It's truly amazing. But I wanted to share off the top of the show those two themes. Let's not be sheep for these fools, and let's maintain our freedom and individuality as opposed to this cooperation. By the way, think about that. Across your life, the whole reason the Kentucky Bar Association didn't reinstate me is because my lack of willingness to cooperate and be nice to them and respect them when they don't deserve it. It's truly amazing. Trump. We need Trump Republicans, not just Republicans, to be elected for office. Now more than ever. Never, ever allow the Republican Party to use you to elect them. These political gangsters in the Republican Party, led by Mitch McConnell, they make me so angry. You have Senator McConnell on the Senate floor giving a speech attacking the Democrats for their Voting Rights Act. And I'm sitting there listening to this guy, and all I could think about is, because Mitch McConnell has played footsies with these guys year after year after year, is why this is happening. It's why it's happening. Makes me sick. Economy and inflation are now the number one issues in the country. Americans by a poll say it's economy, it's inflation. Americans are done as a whole with COVID. And why shouldn't we be? I just recently got over another put it this way, the in-home test claimed that I had COVID. Folks, I had a cold. I'm fine. Completely. You saw the show that I did about a week ago. You could tell I had a cold. Guess what? It's gone. What did I do? Well, I was taking vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and Advil. But Americans are done with it. Bill Maher is, he's an atheist. Bill Maher can be very crude. Bill Maher has definitely been a liberal. But he has shown his ability to grasp some issues where he does not walk lockstep with the rest. For example, on the gun issue. Well, he's now come out and said, I'm not going to hate the Trump voters. That's half the country. I thought to myself, good for him. See, because his people want him to hate the Trump voters, and he says he refuses. They're half the country. Adam Schiff, pencil neck himself, says that if Kevin McCarthy, do you believe these guys? Kevin McCarthy takes over as Speaker of the House, it would be catastrophic. Catastrophic. The shrillness of Adam Schiff never ends. Good old Google eyes himself. I can't stand that guy. I can't stand to look at him. I can't stand to hear his voice. The Kazakhstan, intel chief has been indicted for a whole bunch of bad stuff. The same guy who posed with pictures with Hunter and old Joe. Unbelievable. Chicago's teachers union apparently has worked out a deal that on tomorrow, the 350,000 Chicago kids are going to go back to school. You know, we all know this because we've all been in school before. Just think what you'd miss if you missed a whole week of school. One day's bad enough, but a whole week. They are now saying there might be a meat and eggs shortage. I mean, this is, Joe Biden could not, we used to have this expression, he couldn't fight himself out of a wet paper bag. Joe Biden could not fight himself out of a wet paper bag. This guy could not solve any problem whatsoever. If a light bulb went out in Joe Biden's house, he could not solve that problem. He is a train wreck. And this country has him as the president. Newsom says he wants universal health care. Universal health care for all illegals. Again, these people and their policies make no sense. Now, there's an admission that the COVID information has been misleading. And you even got CNN hosts and others, View hosts, making comments about it. Oh! Biden wants to demand insurers pay for 8 COVID tests per month. This is another example. I hate insurance companies. But how does a president say, you will do this? I mean, he thinks he's a freaking dictator. Groceries are going to continue to go up, and I'm getting reports from those that go to the groceries, which my wife and the ladies at the office, that you go to the grocery now, it's kind of weird how certain stuff you just can't get. Now we're going to add eggs and meat to that. Joy Reid, I mean, I think we could argue Joy Reid's the most racist person in America. On her show, she says that on January 6th, she was really worried about all those people ransacking the Black History Museum. You could give Joy Reid an apple, and she would make it a racist act. I mean, she can turn anything into a race issue. The Walton stabbing, either that guy that was injured was the stabber, or we got a Michael Myers on the loose. Kind of scary. That's pretty close to home with me. I have some add-ons that I want to make sure that we put up like everything else. This is interesting. A judge is mulling over, and I'll give this to you, Sabrina, is mulling over whether Trump's silence on January 6th could amount to agreement with rioters. Do you believe this? We have in this country, you have a right to remain silent, you know. Well, this guy's now saying because Trump was silent for a while, then therefore, I mean, what? U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta. What do I do about the fact the president didn't denounce the conduct immediately? Isn't that plausibility infer he agreed? What? MSNBC, David Zinn. Amid his stellar season, Aaron Rodgers, who I used to can't stand, now I like the guy, he's a rebel, has channeled his toxicity toward the general public, the media, and the, quote, woke mobs out to get him as he snuggles himself in a blanket of arrogance and self-pity. How'd you like to have lunch with that guy? And then some more things that came across the board on the way here. Cincinnati Public Schools votes for remote learning. Insanity. Stacey Abrams is not going to attend Biden's voting rights speech in Georgia. These people are shameless. They want to pass something called voting rights when it might as well be called cheating fraud act. They do not want voters to be able to identify themselves. It's the most absurd thing in the world. If you support political candidates who don't want to have voter ID, shame on you. Jesse Waters has been named the host of Fox Primetime News Spot at 7 p.m. Good for him. The Supreme Court amended the oral argument transcript after liberal commentators claimed Gorsuch misstated the flu death toll. If he said it, he said it. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You don't change a transcript. You don't get to go to court and say, hey, I said that, but I was wrong, so let's change that. My goodness gracious. And then last, I got to comment on this. Congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, I'm a Bama fan, but I'm an SEC fan. And if Georgia Bulldogs did not play UK or Alabama, I would root for Georgia. Kirby Smart's a great coach. I like the Georgia Bulldogs. Congratulations to them. That game was closer than the final score, obviously. And I'm going to go ahead and make the excuse for Bama. They won't make it, but I will. When you have your top receiver, Mechie, out, followed by your second top receiver getting hurt during the game, it's hard to beat a good defense with your two leading receivers out of the game. All this stuff, people need to step up and overcome. Well, sometimes you can't step up and overcome your best players. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. I hope today is yours.